Hello, it is time for warrior cats as birds. As usual, family relationships are meaningless, and all I'm caring about in this specific one is personality and appearance of the cat. Usually I neglect appearance, but for birds as a topic specifically, I feel like I wouldn't be able to complete this without it. Unlike something like Pokemon, most birds are kind of very much overall sharing the same bird-like qualities with lots of overlap. Also, as usual, I will likely be mispronouncing a good half of these bird names. Hooray! Firestar is a robin, specifically a British robin, I would say. A European robin, I guess, more so than our American robins, which are a bit different looking. Graystripe is a Toulouse goose. Sandstorm is a roadrunner. Ravenpaw is a yellow-cheeked tit. Barley is a magpie. Blue Star is a blue-gray gnatcatcher. White Storm is a barn owl. Snowfur is a long-tailed tit. Thistleclaw is a marbled murrelet. Redtail is a red-tailed hawk. Lionheart is an American goldfinch. Brindleface is a starling. Longtail would be an ash-throated flycatcher. Dustpelt a sociable weaver, because he builds things. Hehehe. Dustpelt's only personality trait now, guys. Watch out. This is all I care about. Tigerstar is a Jersey giant rooster. You'd probably assume I'd make Tigerstar some sort of hawk or eagle, but I think a rooster is much more intimidating, especially a big one. Meanwhile, Broken Star is a wedge-tailed eagle. Stonefur a Gen 2 pigeon. Penguin. A Gen 2 penguin, which I chose because I couldn't think of any other birds with a fascination for rocks. Cloudtail is a fancy pigeon. Leopard Star is a spotted bowerbird. Yellowfang a blue jay. Crooked Star a toucan. Oakheart a well-summer rooster. Mapleshade would be a cardinal. Tall Star would be a... oh no. I already used a long-tailed tit. I used a long-tailed tit on two completely separate characters. Oh well, I've reused something. I'm going down into the spiral of reusing something. Tallstar is also a long-tailed tit. Darkstripe is a greater an eye. Sorreltail would be a ruddy turnstone. Brackenfur a house sparrow. Thornclaw a variable hawk. Cinderpelt a little blue heron. I thought this was a really cute one. Spotted Leaf a sandpiper. Brightheart a cockatiel. Scourge a black jacobin. Misty Star a spot-billed pelican. Ashfur a polka-dot woodpecker. Ferncloud a great spotted kiwi. Brambleclaw a brown-headed cowbird. Tawnypelt a wild turkey. Squirrelflight a vermilion flycatcher. I understand that usually it's the males that are brighter in this situation, but it's hard to find a bright red bird that kind of stays red when it's a female. Leafpool a vesper sparrow. Feathertail a city pigeon. Stormfur a mourning dove. Brook a brown thrasher. Crowfeather would be a crow. Birdie a New Zealand parrot. One Star would be a laughing gull. Hawkfrost would be a Canadian goose, and trust me, he shares every single resemblance with a Canadian goose. Mothwing would be a black-backed kingfisher. Black Star a gray butcher bird. Jayfeather a Canada jay. Hollyleaf would be a raven. Lionblaze would be a broad-winged hawk. Millie a parakeet, which I chose because it's kind of like a very household bird, and Millie is a very household cat. Blossomfall would be a blue-winged teal duck. Bumblestripe, a common gull, because he's annoying. Briarlight would be a common quail, because she's cute. Daisy would be a buff Orpington chicken. I'd imagine Daisy as a chicken just in general, because she's a very motherly cat. Berrynose would be a kookaburra. Cinderheart would be a green heron. I chose another heron for Cinderheart, because Cinderpelt was a heron. Honeyfern would be a ruby-crowned kinglet. Poppyfrost a northern pygmy owl. Breezepelt, Williamson's sapsucker. Because it's funny to call Breezepelt a sucker. Soul would be an Atlantic puffin, which I think is actually very suitable, something that's very unique. Heathertail would be a splendid sunbird. Dovewing would be a tufted titmouse, while Ivypool is a gray catbird. Tigerstar II would be a golden eagle, Flametail a ring-necked pheasant, Dawnpelt a canary, and Rock would be a rubber chicken. Fallen Leaves is an oil bird. Leafstar is a common tailor bird. Hawkwing would be an osprey. Pebbleshine is an ostrich. Darktail is a merlin. Alderheart is a cardinal. Sparkpelt a varied thrush. Twigbranch is an emu. Violetshine a snowy owl. Tree would be a pigeon. Greywing is a gray parrot. I think he's very clever like a gray parrot too. I think it's suitable not just because the bird is gray, okay? Clear Sky, an Australian white ibis. Thunder, a king penguin. Lightning Tail would be a little auk. Turtletail would be a peacock, but a female peacock specifically. Tall Shadow is a northern cassowary. A cassowary, that's the first one where I've looked at the word and I've just been like, how the heck do you pronounce that? It's Moonkitti doing a video about birds, not knowing how to pronounce the birds' names. Windrunner is a black-crowned night heron. River Ripple, a mallard duck. Jagged Peak would be an eastern screech owl. Starflower would be a vampire bat. Bristlefrost would be a swan. Rootpaw would be an angry bird. Shadowpaw would be a mockingbird. And finally, Stemleaf would be a brown-headed nuthatch. I tried to include a couple characters that weren't included last time that people were disappointed weren't there, which made this video a lot longer than it would have been otherwise. Although if I went through and explained all of my decisions like I did on the Pokemon one, this one probably would be even longer than that one. Needletail is Doritos jacked.